Welcome back to the top stocks to watch for the last week of September. Let's get right into this video. Moving us over into our fundamental drivers, as always, that's where we're going to start. We do not have anything starting us off on Monday this week, but we do move into Tuesday with some news in pre-market at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time when Fed Chair Powell will be speaking. He is participating in a panel discussion about digital currencies at the Bank of France in Paris. Right after that, at 10 a.m., we have consumer confidence numbers again on Tuesday. Wednesday, 10:15 a.m., we have Fed Chair Powell speaking again. This will be when he is deliver opening remarks at a pre-recorded video at the Community Banking Research Conference in St. Louis. Nothing Thursday, and then Friday, right before market open, an hour before, we have our PCE price index numbers coming out. If you remember last week, we did have our FOMC rate decisions coming in at a 75 basis point hike, bringing us up to 3.25% actual numbers for this month. So definitely some interesting news there. And now we are going to head into our technical analysis right after you see on screen the earnings in the S&P 500 for this upcoming week as well. So moving us over into the technical analysis, we're going to start off on SPY. SPY had a lot of interesting price developments this last week as we plunge lower and head for yearly lows. At the end of day on Friday, we made a push very, very close to yearly lows, with our yearly lows residing around 362.70, and we made a push down to 363.40, so just $1 away, a little bit less, after a very strong and impulsive second half of last week. Now we're going to see, are we going to continue to utilize this area as support? This area did act as support previously. This was not just a random zone that I've highlighted on my screen. This was indeed a Fibonacci extension number that we took back in May and early June when we were first looking at the numbers at where our wave 5, aka this last wave, might have ended. And this is how we got this zone around 363, and that's the zone that we bounced off prior again. So now we will see, are we going to again bounce off of this zone, or are we going to break and head for new yearly lows? I do think you guys know this, I've been bearish the last 3 months. I do think that the possibilities definitely still lie on the end that we make new yearly lows. We're obviously very, very close to doing so, so I do not think it will be very hard for us to do so. After we do break yearly lows, we're really looking at the 350 range and the 340 range. Some of my colleagues at OBR seem to like the 317 range, so we're definitely going to keep an eye out. I think we've been accelerating quite quickly to the downside. So we are due for a pullback sometime soon, and I think that we will probably see that, or at least the origination of that, around the 350 or 340 level. So keeping a very close eye on that, and keeping a close eye on how decisively we break through this 363 range. Awesome. Okay, so taking that same kind of thesis, the bearish ideology, into our other charts, we're looking at Apple now. Apple is following the same kind of price pattern as SPY, but obviously holding up much better because we had a very strong impulsive move to the upside on Apple. After we broke down from this head and shoulders that we called out on this channel, we are now heading lower, and it looks like we are just hitting a double bottom, very, very similar to SPY again. So looking for us to potentially bounce early next week. I did expect prior a move higher and then a continuation move to the downside. So looking for areas to get short on Apple, in my opinion, as the market continues to plunge lower. Last week on BABA, we had this breakout. I said look for the retest and the bounce. That's exactly what happened. We had a very nice retest of this level that we broke out around $88.70, and we bounced from there, leading to a very impulsive, again, second half of last week, where we pretty much just went straight down on BABA. So very, very nice trade. Right now, I'm not really looking at anything on BABA. I think that we're going to just monitor around these levels that we might have support at in terms of horizontal levels, keeping a close eye on those, potentially a bounce just like on Apple. Some early in the week bullish price action led into some bearish price action in the second half of the week. Very, very similar to last week. NVIDIA is going to be in the same exact boat. We obviously just made new yearly lows on NVIDIA. So, and now that we are making new yearly lows on NVIDIA, we're pretty much in price discovery. For NVIDIA, we'll be looking around the $116 range for support, as that is some significant horizontal levels. But besides that, it looks like NVIDIA and AMD as well, the semiconductors in general, move much lower, just like QQQ, which is obviously going to be very, very similar to SPY. So keeping a very close eye on that, looking for a retest of this level around 275 and again at 280. But overall, looking for us to break for new yearly lows beneath 270, 269.30 rather. Tesla is still bouncing in this consolidation zone that we called out last week from our prior high that we had here. We did expect this to continue higher, which we did as a matter of fact last week, but not to the fullest extent. I did expect this to break above this resistance high at 314. We did not, obviously, we led into the second half of last week a very, very bearish push to the downside after we bounced off of that range. So now we will see we come back down and revisit the 263 level and continue to the downside like the rest of our names, or will Tesla continue to remain bullish while everything else falls? I'm not entirely sure. Tesla has seemed to do that quite recently, but I would not leave my hopes in the air for Tesla. I do think that it will catch up to the rest of the market and continue to move lower, definitely back beneath 260 and most likely beneath 207. Oil, as of this last week, has been falling hard, very, very hard. We are now beneath $80 on oil. After, again, we called out all of this. We've been calling out for oil shorts, screaming from the hilltops the last 2 months, 3 months just about, especially on this channel. We've pretty much had oil every single week for the last couple of weeks. But yes, now oil is taking its final move to the downside, it seems, after we had this retest and bounce lower, and it seems like we will just continue that move to the downside. So I'm looking for oil to return back down to the $65 range in the coming weeks and maybe months. So that was all for this week. I really hope you guys enjoyed and pulled some valuable insights out of this video, whether it was a new technical setup that you weren't keeping an eye on before, or it was a macroeconomic data event that you did not know of and now you do. If you did, please like and subscribe. As behalf on everybody from OBR Investing, happy trading, and I will see you in the next video.